What's up, Earth? Georgiana here, just grabbing some ginger tea so we can talk about the Korean drama Tuning for Love. Because I've just fallen in love with K dramas, Japanese movies, and shows, all of that art form. And I still love my Nollywood movies. So, what I'm going to be doing is watching all of those, the K dramas and all that, and my Nollywood, and then kind of putting it into real life, making a connection with real life. And so that's what we're going to be doing here. And the first one is a K drama. It's a Korean movie, not a K drama. It's a Korean movie. And I'm going to give you a summary of it, of the story. And then I'll get a little bit into it. So it's basically, it follows Misu and Hanwoo. And when they first meet, they're teenagers. And they meet at a bakery that Misu owns, and it's run by her and a friend of the family, okay? And so Hanwoo just got out of prison. He's a teenager and just got out of prison, and he's looking for work and ends up working at the bakery, which is called Misu Bakery. And he ends up working there, and he makes a connection with Misu. Okay, I'm gonna call Hanwoo Tofu because the co-owner of the bakery called him that because the first time he came in there, he was looking for tofu milk. So, because I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm so sorry. So it basically explores their relationship for a decade, and they form a connection and they begin to develop feelings for each other, but it's like their timing is always off, right? Ever been in those type of relationships where the timing is always off, and things keeps pulling them apart? And so we go from 1994, they make a connection at the bakery and they lose connection, and then in 1997 they make another connection, but he's going off to the military because it's something that Korean boys have to do in their mid or late 20s. And then they spend one night together, not anything sexual or anything, but it's like their connection is still there, and she creates an email for him and all of that, but she forgets to give him the password. Okay, and then we get to 2000, right? And at this time, and the story basically, you can tell time passes with the building structures that are close to the bakery, and then also the radio is used to kind of tell what time we're in, what period we're in. So now in 2000, we're in the period of cell phones and all of that. And then they connect, but it's only a little while, but because she doesn't feel very happy in her career, she doesn't really want to connect with him. And then he also gets into some trouble, which we'll get into towards the end. And so in 2005 they connect and they actually have a concrete relationship, but this time they lose connection because she decides to find out why he was in prison. And so he was in prison because when he was a teenager, they were playing soccer, right, on the roof, and he mistakenly had his back to the goalie, right? And so the goalie fell off, and he was trying to hold him, keep hold on to him, but he fell off. So it was an accidental thing, but he ended up in jail for it, and he's been paying for it. Like he's not in a gang, but his friends are like bad influence because he keeps getting into trouble with them. So she discovers this, and he didn't want her to know, right? He wanted to keep it from her because I don't believe he had forgiven himself. So he got upset, and he, with her, it was one of his friends that told her, and he wasn't happy about that, and he just didn't want her to know that, and he got upset. And so she decides she can't do this because he left in the middle of her telling him that I know and it's okay and I accept it. And she left, and then because in the background, because there's always some other guy lurking, is her boss. He's lurking, wanting to be with her, but she doesn't give him any attention until now. And so he decides, Tofu decides that he has to tell her that he loves her, and he chases her down. It's so romantic. Chases her down, and he's like, I love you. But she's like, she didn't say anything. She's like, don't stop following me. Essentially, she's gonna be with the boss now. So then we come to find out that he went to beat up the guy that told Misu about the accidental killing, right? And he beats him up, and then he goes to the former bakery owner, and the former bakery owner, and he tells the former bakery owner, thank you for trusting me. And because my grandparent didn't believe me, my teachers didn't believe me, my parents didn't believe me. So essentially, Misu feels bad that she didn't trust him, and she starts to cry. And then we discover that now he's doing the radio show, right? And in the radio show, he's doing the video for it, and it'll be streamlined. And so the radio show, usually they ask a question of calling and tell us who you're missing, and we'll mention their name on the radio. And so the DJ asks Tofu who he would like to mention. This is a radio show, like I said, it runs through the whole movie, and it's because she listens to the radio show. And so he mentions her, and she's at work, and she immediately leaves work, and she's running to the studio. And she gets to the studio right before he's breaking down his video and mic and all of that. And she's standing in the window, and she's jumping and out of breath and like, you did great, Tofu guy. His name's not Tofu Guy, but that's because you did great, Tofu Guy. And he's all excited, and we see that they reconnected. The thing about it is that second chances, because Misu was very much afraid of Tofu Guy when she first met him, because he had just gotten out of prison. She didn't know why he was in prison, but there was this connection that they had, right? And she wanted to pursue it, and she wanted to be courageous because she was scared. And he knew she was scared of him. And I feel like that's why he probably didn't want to tell her and would never have told her, because she was so scared of him. And I don't believe that he had forgiven himself. And so those two things, it's second chances on her part, and then him forgiving himself. Because if you're not able to forgive yourself, then how can other people forgive you, right? Like he felt like he just wanted to push it aside and, and not have to worry about it. But it's not easy, right? Like, because I felt like he still was struggling with that when he looked at himself through Misu's eyes. So my take on it is that it is essential that we give each other second chances. And not only that, but giving yourself a second chance whenever you've done something. None of us are perfect, right? All of us have something that we have done that we have not liked about ourselves, and it is essential that we forgive ourselves. So everyone deserves a second chance. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we learn from them, and sometimes we don't, And sometimes some people just continue to make that mistake over and over again. But I do believe that it is essential that we give one another second chances, whether it's romantic or not, whomever it is. If someone asks you for a second chance, give them a second chance. I feel like Misu was always so judgmental, and I felt like she had this I'm better than everybody type of mentality, but she essentially, needed to grant Tofu a second chance and to trust him, because he wasn't a bad guy. He made a mistake, and he was trying to pay his debt to society. He went back to college. He was trying to work a regular job and all of that. It is a beautiful story. If you want to watch it, they do have subtitles, but they do also have English audio. So what is that? I've forgotten what that word is, but it's dubbed. Yeah, so it's dubbed in English, so you can watch it in English, and so you don't have to read subtitles. It is on Netflix, and it was shot shot in 2019. But I would totally recommend it. I watched it, I loved it, and it teaches us, it's not just about fate and timing, but also about forgiving yourself and us giving one another second chances. So I hope you check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it, and if there are any K-dramas that you've been into lately, or any Japanese movies you've watched, or whatever it is, let me know, and I will watch and give you my thoughts on it in connection with real life. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.